Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today we're going to be doing another foundation review. I really hope you're not all bored of foundation reviews, but I've been so excited to do this one. I've known this was going to be released for quite some time. It's from an affordable brand, it's also cruelty-free, and it's another one of those products that has a high SPF as well as being a CC cream. It seems like everybody is releasing those products right now. We've had one from number 7, which I haven't got in front of me to show you because my mum stole it before the lockdown, and also there's been one very recently from Estee Lauder. We've got one, obviously this is the first one that became available from IT Cosmetics. There was the Maybelline Dream Urban cover, and now there is one from Revolution Pro. This is the CC Perfecting Foundation. Now, I cannot wait to get some of this on my face, so let's do a little bit of bump and we'll crack on. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click on that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads, and I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me on there. It's @PamperedWolf, all lowercase, no spaces. So this is the Revolution Pro CC Cream Perfecting Foundation. It's a cruelty-free product. I don't think this is vegan though. It's £10 in the UK, $15 in the US. You only get 26 mils worth of product, which is a lot less than all the other counterparts. I think the Maybelline is 30 mils, the Estee Lauder is 35 mils, and the CC Plus I know is 32 mils. So this is actually quite a lot lower than all of those other products, much less than standard at 0.87 fluid ounces. You can often get these on a 3 for 2 on the Revolution Beauty website though, so it makes it much more affordable. This comes in 20 shades and there is a wide variety of cool, warm, neutral and olive undertones, which is great. And although it only comes in 20 shades, it's a really wide spectrum, and if this is popular, I am definitely expecting them to release more shades in the future. This gives sheer to full buildable coverage. It doesn't actually say on the website what finish this is actually going to give on the surface of the skin, but I guess we'll find that out later. This also has an SPF of 30 in here, which is also a lot lower than the other counterparts, which are either a 45 SPF or 50 SPF. So this is the lowest of the SPFs that I've seen in products like these. This is a hydrating formula. It contains hyaluronic acid and collagen and antioxidants, which are vitamin E in here, which evens out the skin tone. It also helps to reduce any redness that you've got on your skin and diffuses the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, which is a major bonus. This gives long-lasting coverage. It doesn't feel cakey or heavy on the skin at all, and it's unscented. Let's get some of this on my face. Okay, so as per usual, I've got all my skincare on my face and I've given that plenty of time to sink in before I'm applying the foundation, which I will be applying one half with a brush and one half with a sponge. The brush I'm going to be using today is my Brush Junkie foundation buffing brush, and the sponge is just a generic blending sponge. So I was going to do half of my face with one foundation and the other half with another foundation because this foundation really does look very similar to the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydro Rescue, which I reviewed not so long ago. Usually I would say with this being a drugstore product and this being high-end and this coming out after this one, that this was pretty much copying tactics. However, I know that not to be the case because way before the release of the Estee Lauder foundation, Revolution came out with the Ultimate Coverage Crease Proof Concealer, which is also in this type of packaging, exactly the same as this. So it's got nothing to do with the Hydro Rescue, why this looks like this. And all of these types of foundation are in these sort of squeezy tube bottles. So I will compare it at the end of this video to all of the other CC creams that I do have in my collection, that being the IT Cosmetics, the Maybelline, the Estee Lauder, and also the number 7 ones with high SPFs. Let's get some of this on. Okay, so it does have a pump with this, which makes me very happy. It's actually quite stiff to get this out. Okay, it's quite a stiff consistency, definitely standing proud on my hand and holding its formation. So that's quite interesting, quite a stiff consistency, a little bit like the It Cosmetics consistency. Okay, so apply this side with a brush. It's very, very creamy on the face. It's going to be too light for me, this, so apologies, but the neutral shade that is darker than this one is way too dark for my skin, so just going to have to bronze it up a little bit and work with it. If it doesn't oxidize, if it oxidizes, we might be in for a winner. The coverage of this is actually really nice. I actually thought that this would be a weaker coverage than this because it did say it was sheer to full buildable coverage. I think that's gone on really, really smoothly. And very effortless to blend. Now it doesn't actually say what finish you're going to get in any of the descriptions on any websites for this foundation, so it will be really interesting to see what finish we eventually get. But at the moment, I really like that. That's going on really beautifully, and I'm using hardly any product whatsoever. Very good coverage. Very good coverage. I look a bit like a ghost at the moment. Impressed so far. This doesn't look overly oily on my skin, and it's drying down quite nicely. Definitely not completely dry yet. And I wouldn't say that this needs building up at all. I'm quite happy with the coverage that this is giving, especially as this, as you can obviously see, this is far too pale for my skin. It's quite a good neck match, but definitely not a good face match. So I guess it depends on what you're colour matching to, but we'll bronze it. It'll be fine. Okay, let's do the other side with a damp sponge. This has definitely not got a scent to it. You can smell all the ingredients that are mixed together, which is a little bit like paint, but it's definitely not got any artificial scents mixed in, which can only be a positive. Now I am going through more product on the sponge side, but I think I actually prefer the coverage. It's a lighter coverage and seriously smooth. Seriously smooth. So I've used around about 2 pumps on the back of my hand, and the majority of that I used on the sponge side because obviously it is soaked up by the sponge a little bit. If you're just going to be using a brush, I would say 1 pump would do the entire face, but if you are going to be using a sponge, then you are going to need 2 pumps worth. So I wouldn't say that this is actually airbrushing my pores, but it's definitely not making them more evident either and pointing them out. There are no big arrows that say pores this way. So that's definitely a bonus. It's just a beautiful sheen on the surface of the skin. I've no idea whether that's actually going to disappear when it dries down, but we'll see when I've got all the rest of my products on. At the moment, I'm really liking it. It's not overly an oily look. It's just a nice finish. I do feel like it looks like it's sitting on the surface of the skin at the moment. Hopefully that will sink in a little bit, but at the moment, I am hopeful that this one is going to be a good one. And I like the coverage. I'm going to go and put the rest of my products on and I'll be right back. So that is the finished look for today. I really like this foundation. All the rest of my products glided on absolutely beautifully, blended out really beautifully. This does still have a slight tacky feeling to the touch. I've only powdered certain areas, so I have powdered the centre of my forehead, which doesn't feel tacky at all. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like the feeling of tacky skin throughout the day, you are going to have to powder this. It hasn't sank into my fine lines. It hasn't sank into any of my wrinkles. So I think I actually understand why they haven't advertised an actual finish of this foundation, because I think it's going to be different on practically everybody depending on skin type. Now, this is definitely not a mattifying foundation. If you're wanting a mattifying foundation that's going to hide and disguise all your pores, this is definitely not going to be that. This definitely doesn't exaggerate the appearance of pores, but it's definitely not going to airbrush them out either. I also don't think this is a dewy foundation, but it does have a slight natural sheen on the surface of the skin, which is really, really naturally beautiful, and I really, really like it. I'm going to go about my day. I will check in with you a little bit later on to tell you how this foundation is getting on. See you all in a bit. Okay, so I just wanted to check in with you. I've just been filming another video and it's been a couple of hours since I first applied the foundation and it's already started to change, which is really upsetting because it went on so beautifully before, a little thicker than the other foundations that I've got in my collections, but it went on beautifully and blended out beautifully. But let me just show you. I have no product left on my chin at all, which after 2 hours, that's really bad. And let me just show you around my chin area. You can see that it started to settle in my dryness as it's dried down. It has taken a while to actually dry down and it's still a little bit tacky, but it's just feels like it's starting to want to collect in my smile lines, and also it's just breaking down around my nose and on my chin, which isn't normal. I mean, it still looks perfectly fine. You do have to get really up close to notice that it started to break down after 2 hours, but I mean, I don't have any left on my chin, and as I'm touching my face, the foundation is still lifting off as if it really hasn't sank into the skin yet. It still is sitting on the surface. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but they are my thoughts after the 2 hour mark. I'll see you all in a bit. Hi everybody, welcome back to the check-in. It's now been just shy of 8 hours since I first applied this foundation to my face, and I would absolutely love to be telling you all that it's done really, really well at this point, but I can't do that. In fact, my husband Wes, who very rarely has an opinion on how my face looks and how my makeup sits on my skin, actually said to me as I was walking down the stairs earlier on without any prompting from myself, "I'm not really keen on the makeup that you're wearing today." And when I asked him what he wasn't keen on, he said that my foundation looked a little patchy, a little shiny in areas, and my pores looked more in your face. So he thinks I look more airbrushed in my usual foundations that I wear, and this one just wasn't up to par. Now, it isn't all doom and gloom. This foundation is not an awful foundation, and I have done some natural lighting shots for you to look at in just a second. But the positives about this foundation are that the shade range is quite, even though it's only 20 shades, it's quite a wide variety of shades with all those different undertones to choose from. So that is a great positive. The other positive is that it is a cruelty-free brand. It's a hydrating formula. It doesn't go on and give you that really oily look to the skin. It glides on smoothly, and the best finish, I believe, is with a sponge. I really like the coverage that this actually gives, and it feels really lightweight on the skin, even though it's a very, very thick formula to begin with. Now let's talk about the negatives. Let me show you this in natural lighting while I'm running through the list. So this sits on the surface of the skin. It doesn't really sink into the skin very well, so it can break down very quickly. It goes cakey because it's sitting on the surface of the skin, and my oily areas look oilier and my dry areas look drier. This also has the lowest SPF of all of the CC creams with high SPFs that I have reviewed in the past. And although I don't really pay any attention to the SPF that is in a foundation because you're not using enough of the product to get that SPF, Absurdly, that's what people buy these products for. They buy it for the SPF protection. And if this is going to be one of their main selling features, then this one has the least amount of protection out of all the others. This also has the least amount of product for your money. So this only gives you 26 mils, 0.87 fluid ounces, whereas all the rest are 30 mils or above. So you're getting a lot less product for your money here. So which one of these is my favorite out of all the CC creams with high factor SPF that have been released on the market recently? Now, the ones that I'm comparing this to is obviously the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream. Also, the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. I've got the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue. Obviously, the one that I'm wearing today, and one that I don't actually have to hand because my mum stole it, just saying, is the No. 7 Protect and Perfect, I think it's called. It's the one in the blue tube that's just been released in the US a few months back. So I'm going to liken this to all of those, and if I'm being completely honest, the Revolution Pro version is my least favorite because of all the problems that I've actually had today. This does not mean that this is a bad foundation. This is going to be a great foundation for some people. It just doesn't suit my skin. So this is going to be my least favorite out of all of them. The one that is my favorite is the No. 7 Protect and Perfect. And that is another budget buy. I think that's around about £10 in the UK, maybe 15. I will link everything in the description box, but that is my favorite. The reason that one is my favorite is because it gives beautiful coverage. It's really lightweight. It's very long wearing. It's got a high SPF. If you are bothered about the high SPF value in a foundation, it has a factor 50 SPF in there. It's full of peptides and antioxidants. It's also a very hydrating formula on the skin without making your skin feel heavy or oily throughout the day. It's an overall nice product that sinks into the skin. It doesn't sit on top of the skin, and that product is also cruelty-free. So that is my preference. This is okay, but it is just okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. It's at Pampered Wolf, all lowercase, no spaces, and hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.